subbed back in. I think that takes the Octavia mostly off the table for the side of the Rose Petals, and I actually think Octavia was a really big pick for them last series. It applied so much pressure, especially in those Awakening drafts, and could scale out of control. But that being said, Doxy on their Juno this game, a character who can similarly pressure those Awakening drafts, so that's not entirely gone. We on the signature Luna, Wallaby on the Julietto, I think is really strong, and the big thing is going to be how well Twisty on this, slightly off meta Kazan pick, how well they can outmaneuver Mr. Lions Eat Bears Bertram in the back of the net. And also just how well General Twee, who I think has been playing really well recently, how well they can potentially outmaneuver Doxy in the midfield.
Yeah, also curious to see. I mean, kind of two new teams here in a way, as you said, Rose Petals. Another roster move coming on through here as Doxy rejoins the squad. Let's see how she's going to be able to.
Can I get 5 big booms for Bertram?
Okay, 3Z just came out from his camping trip. There he is. I did warn that we might get a 3Z cameo, and Twee, using that Luna to absolute perfection, able to take that second barrier, and Bertram, kind of that iron wall, especially with Twee rotating back to help out so much. And it's going to be, I think, a mountain to climb. It's not super surprising that our winners finals losers are favored in the losers finals here. That was a lot to say.
Wow, that's a lot of words there. I get what you're saying though, for sure. Coming in as the higher seed, we'll see what they're going to be able to get done here. So far, pretty competitive first bout as either side quite able to push things through. A nice quick leverage from Twisty, be able to pull it in close. Now a chance to score with the top spin. Beautifully placed by Twisty to take the first score of the lower finals.
Yeah, we've been seeing that exact connection between Luke and Twisty a lot. We saw it a lot last game with the Rasmus, where Luke would hit it off the drum, or would use hotshot off the drum, or would flip like he did there to Twisty down in the bottom corner, and then Twisty would sit there, wait for the ball to reach, and then hit stun the goalie as the ball kind of flew down into that corner. Not super surprised to see it work well here. And, I kind of saw it coming as soon as Luke flipped. Really, really good team play between the two of them, and going to be a really reliable way for them to get through Bertram on the open net, who otherwise I think is going to be really, really difficult to get through.
Yeah, completely agree there. As bringing it up towards the top, there's going to be a maddening descent out of Twisty, trying to get it in towards Bertram here. Will be able to take that first barrier. There is another nice big crater coming on through from Twee, and that will open up the space for Wallaby to be able to close out the point. Looked really tough with all three members in the area, but Wallaby finds the angle.
Yeah, really good patience out of Wallaby. Waited for Luke to strike, waited for Doxy to use her primary and strike, so Rose Petals were kind of forced to exhaust all their resources in the open net there before Wallaby finally puts it in. Also, just the constant pressure from Twee in that corner is what made it so that Luke had no abilities up to save the core flip. So, yeah, just really, really solid, long-term play out of them. And another quick double barrier for Atlas Gardeners. It just kind of seems like they're firing on all cylinders.
Definitely does. A nice pass there, using the gravity to be able to pull it right over towards Twisty. Doesn't make much happen of it, but really good read there, and going to be able to get a nice flip out of Twisty just to take it in towards that first barrier. Bertram rolls up towards the top to prevent any kind of double barrier situation from coming on across, and will be able to hold on to the one. Twee coming in with the boost, finds another goal, and they'll go up 2-1.
Yeah, 5 big boosts for General Twee right there. That's been a really reliable game plan for Atlas Gardeners. I talked to Wallaby a bit recently about how the team felt and how draft kind of felt for them, and they said obviously they really like the Luna, and one big reason they like the Luna is because it gives them a super consistent game plan of just keep the ball in the corner forever and ever until, like you see with Luke there, they get greedy enough to go for the cross clear. And this Luna secondary is perhaps the best ability in the game at punching the cross clear, because not only is it so fast and so direct, but you also have the flexibility to strike after in case you need to adjust, compared to something like an Estelle Beam. So they have this game plan of just get it in the corner, wait for the cross clear, and then General Twee is going to use that boost to get the punish. But as I'm saying all that, Wallaby goes down on the other side.
Definitely, and now going to see if they can make use of this power play, going to be able to take that barrier. Luke still doing a good job of holding on here. Twee, though, with the drive-by strike, does find that barrier, but they sneak it through. Twisty gets a nice little poke with the umbrella on past Wallaby, and will be able to take it 2-2, going to 0.5 on set 1 of the grand finals, or lower finals, not grand finals.
Yeah, I mean, well played by Twisty so far this set. I think they've been doing a great job. I do think that Kazan, has a pretty good time getting it past this Dubu. Dubu's kind of been feasting today on these picks that really want to try and go through him, and Kazan obviously really, really efficient at going around him instead. So not too surprised to see in the open net this Dubu struggling. Whereas Bertram usually is not known for that kind of defensive liability, but this character pick really paying dividends in this first set, and obviously if Twisty gets size or something, they can scale out of control a bit. So yeah, going to be looking out for that.
Yeah, Twee kind of juggling it to themselves a little bit there off the back of the crater into their own strikes, but will be able to maintain control. Nice disruption there from Bertram, trying to stop Twisty from being able to get through. There's the boys' angle once again, and not going to be able to find their way on towards that barrier, so very nicely done, and will be able to hold on towards that barrier all the longer. Here comes Twee, passing it down to Wallaby. Nice expanse out of Luke. Going to be able to hold on, and a good flip out of Twisty. Will be able to take that second barrier for the side of the Rose Petals. They look to convert and take their first set here. Launches it up towards the top. A little bounce there. Not going to be able to get past Bertram. A KO onto the Juliet, and now power play, open goal, passing back and forth. Doxy and Twisty, they're looking to close this one out. Bertram going to use the Summer Assault, holds it for just a little bit longer. Make it rain comes through, but it is not enough to find the score until Twisty pokes it on through. Doxy actually comes up with the credit there, and that's a set win for the Rose Petals.
Yeah, they have core speed on their side. With Atlas and Juno, the core will be flying really fast in overtime, which can be difficult for all three characters on Atlas Gardeners to keep up with. They have no Rasmus hook or Kazan hook. Catch the ball if it flies past them. Dubu's most reliable way to deal with a lot of core speed, if it's going away from him, is strike shot. So if that's down, he's kind of out of the play there. But this draft is super interesting. Atlas picks up the 1-2, even more core speed abuse going their way. Fight or flight for Twee. I know Twee loves that movement speed, already has some of the peak performance start. They're just going to be flying around this midfield with and without their abilities, and the slick kicks even. So they're going to be looking to strike the ball and keep the pace up as much as possible. Twisty does get size, which is something I was mentioning earlier. A big pickup for the Kazan. Doxy gets prime time, really good for them as well. Wallaby Twin Drive is okay, and same with Pass to Last. I'd say it's a super favored draft for the Rose Petals, and things are looking really, really good for them early in this game.
Yeah, really good start for them as they have the lead and a solid draft here. There's going to be the top spin coming out of Twisty. Try to maintain control and see if they can keep this one going. Really nice one-on-one with Bertram there to be able to take that second barrier, open up the goal, and now the chance to score here is losing out in the one-on-one brawl is Wallaby. Crooked leveraged back into the goal and scored on, as that will be another KO coming on through there. The power play available for the rest of the squad. Rose Petals looking to close things out here, moving forward. Doxy using the Blobos, but will be intercepted by Twee, and Wallaby is back onto the field, trying to push forward for the second barrier. Bertram going to be able to keep things cleared away. A shot up towards the top doesn't quite find its way home, and Twee will be able to send it back on away, but Twisty still staying in Bertram's face, brawling with him and trying to find themselves an opportunity to be able to push it in towards the goal, but Twisty, she just cannot get the angle here. Nice crooked leverage, dodges out on the energy burst and sends it up top. Bertram gets his ankles broken.
Yeah, that's the Kazan in the open net. Like I was saying, this Dubu, it really is a big struggle for him. He has to take a lot of risks if he wants to be able to defend, and Bertram looking like they're maybe having some issues here. I don't know if they're sad that their ankles got broken or if maybe their internet broke as well, but AFK to start the point. Respectful out of Rose Petals to honor that Bertram clearly wasn't there even before the point started, so not playing the point out, just waiting for Bertram to come back, and yeah, not quite sure what happened. Maybe that would explain a little bit of what's going on, but no, Bertram's back fixed whatever issue they had. Now General Twee's gone, barrier taken, big barriers back, very, very respectful little timeout for Rose Petals there.
Very nice. Even giving back the barrier is, it looks like they struck it a little early there. So some great sportsmanship coming out here from the Rose Petals, as they are getting kind of aggressed on here as they do end up letting some more through. Will now be an open goal available.
Yeah, something I wanted to mention is that every time Twee strikes the ball, he has 721 move speed for about a second and a half. So he's really going to be using that to kind of fly around the map as much as possible, but we're still seeing this incredibly efficient offense from the Rose Petals once again. Get it past the Dubu in the open net, and this brawler goalie matchup. I mean, I'll say it. I think Twisty's looking like a lion this game, and Bertram a bit like a bear.
I mean, that was so well executed by Twisty there. The alley-oop off of Twee's crater to be able to show up, catch the core right where it's going, and send it in somewhere Bertram can't reach it. Really well played. Luke a little bit late on the expanse there, does end up letting through one of the barriers, and Twee going to be able to follow up and find a second one. Clean play there on the Luna to be able to sneak things past Luke and try to set up for Alice's Gardeners to be able to find some gameplay in this lower final, as they are just getting styled on so far. Twisty takes a double barrier, sets up for the maddening descent.
Ooh.
Can't quite find it though, and snuck through by Twee. Between Doxy and Luke, nobody can touch it. First point goes over to Garden.
Yeah, that was a perfectly placed shot, and I do think that if Atlas Gardeners kind of want to make the comeback this game, we're going to need to see a Twee masterclass. He took the second barrier at that point. He got the goal at that point. All with this Luna secondary. Such a strong ability, especially with the way he's been using it. But right there, stuffed back a little bit. And if Rose Petals can keep that kind of defense up, they'll be able to take the game. Whereas Bertram kind of struggling on his end.
Yeah, Twisty looking really impressive on this Kazan so far. Really being able to find some very impressive angles to be able to get past and around the Dubu, although that's a double barrier taken by Wallaby and Twee. Try to open themselves up for two in a row here as they try to fight their way back in. Really nice pass there from Twee, gets up to Wallaby, but still cannot push it on through. Expanse buys them just that little bit of time, and Luke is going to be able to send it down towards the bottom. Elusive out of Twisty, top spin off the bottom, but it sneaks past everybody. Wallaby finds a shot that Luke and Doxy cannot touch, and we're 2-2 in set number 2.
Yeah, great strike war by Wallaby through to a little bit of a defensive mistake from Doxy. I think sitting a little bit further back in the net was probably the safer play there, but if you do win that strike war, the ball goes straight through Wallaby and into Twisty's hands, who's been, incredibly efficient so far this game. It's understandable you'd want to accelerate that pace a bit, but, at the same time, Atlas Gardeners making a comeback this set, and, if we get more heroics out of them, they might be able to tie up this game.
Ooh, another KO found by Twisty here, going back on towards these KO streaks, and capping off some really impressive Kazan gameplay. Passes it back up to Doxy. Doxy aggressing with the Blobos. Twisty trying to poke it on past Twee, but Twee is going to be able to maintain control, boosts themselves right on through, and will be able to get it on over towards that barrier, but still hanging on is a Luke. It's one barrier left apiece as the Make It Rain comes on through. Twisty trying to push in for a little bit more. Bertram fends it back away, though.
Ooh.
Wallaby with a dash punch gets that second barrier. The center detonates and just slides it right on through. It's 3-2, 3 in a row from Atlas's Gardeners to pull back set number 2 and tie us up at 1-1.
That was a really, really good dash punch from Wallaby. It completely threw Luke off his game. He walked up to take the strike down for the cross clear that was free. And then the strike, I think, ended up buffering, and because Luke was pushed back, he actually took his own barrier off the dash punch. Really heads up play from Wallaby. And really great strike from Twee off of the center black hole to get the goal. And there was a lot of finesse and a lot of precision, I think, that came out for Atlas Gardeners that might be hard to keep up. But, that being said, they've been doing really, really well so far this game. And after what I think is a relatively neutral Awakening draft, other than Twisty getting a bit more size, I think it's going to come down to who plays better, Gordo.
Absolutely. And Twisty, nice job being able to pull that core out of the crater and be able to get it on in where it needs to go, which is onto those barriers. But counter aggression, Wallaby and Twee just unrelenting as they keep pushing that core forward and eventually get it on towards the barrier. Now an open goal available for them as they're taking it on forward. A nice dash punch from Wallaby Gangsta, and that is textbook play from Atlas's Gardeners as they push it on through. A clean offensive maneuver to close out that point.
Yeah, it seems like they're just kind of able to get it through Luke, who, unlike last game, just doesn't have quite as many cooldowns. So they're able to keep up possession just long enough to exhaust some of his resources. And compared to last game where his resources were back up so quickly, they just aren't in this game. He's got Monumentalist, which is fine, but it's not helping him get more secondaries. As Wallaby gets a great dash punch KO, and he's got peak performance of 1-2 punch. nothing that's helping him keep his defense alive once he goes through it once or twice. So yeah, we're gonna see how well Gardeners can keep up the offense and keep punishing this otherwise really high cooldown Atlas.
Yep, looking for it. Oh, nice save there from Luke once again, using Celestial Intervention. Twisty sliding on through, will be able to find that barrier. She's going to be able to open up the goal up against Bertram, but he's been able to lock things down as of recent. Twisty, the clean maneuver for the KO there, will be able to create a power play for the squad. See if they're going to be able to close it out off of that. Twisty going to look to receive off the back of that pass from Luke, but going to get knocked away by the Crater, taking a fair bit of damage. Now being focused on by Wallaby, nearly going to be fully staggered, but will just barely be able to hold on. Goes back to get an orb to be able to sustain back on up, but that's going to be the end of any kind of offensive maneuver there. Bertram going to be able to fend away a Blabo shot, and now Twee looking to take their turn. There's going to be the top spin coming through from Twisty, not going to back away, taking it back onto the core. Cleared leverage back in, disrupted by Bertram, who takes it back into their control, gets it past Twisty, gets it past Doxy. Luke going to be able to send it back in, though. Doxy gets it down to Luke. The boost going to be evaded from as Luke changes direction, pushes back up, and keeps that core out of the hands of the Luna, but Wallaby is taking it through the whole way. Twisty fends it back away, going to be sliding on through, and still cannot find a way on towards that core to be able to take it in. There's the crooked leverage to pull it back into her hands, but she still cannot find these shots.
Ooh.
Wallaby, though, disrupting a pass up from Luke, dash punches through and takes a second.
Yeah, Wallaby kind of has has Luke's number this game, calling out these cross clears with the dash punches, gets rewarded again for it, and despite Twisty kind of being a menace on this open net, this Luna is equally a menace, and Wallaby's been playing so well getting through the Atlas with the Juliet. I think this Juliet has looked really good for everyone that's been piloting it today, and it's been that way for a couple weeks now, and oh, great punish by General Twee. So, I'm not too surprised to see this Juliet doing well in light of this Kazan kind of taking over the game earlier, and it feels like that Kazan magic has kind of dwindled a little bit.
Definitely. Feels like Twisty still showing some moments of really clean play here, but it hasn't been enough to get the points back into her team's favor, and now a potential 3-0 for Atlas's Gardeners to be able to take the lead in this game number one would certainly feel very good for them, and would certainly feel like they've completely taken control. I think this is 5 goals in a row for them right now, since Rose was keeping it competitive in the early game, but they appear to have fully taken control here as we get into the later stages of game number one. Let's see if that can change as Rose Petals look to get themselves back onto offense. Twisty advancing forward with the pop-up once again, trying to give them the slip, but cannot do it. Wallaby sees an angle and seizes it. Goes in with the dash punch, takes the goal and the KO.
Yeah, that's one of those moments where, Luke wanted to play it a bit more patient and wait to see what kind of options Gardeners were going to go for, and I think part of that is how threatening this Luna is, because you don't want to just haphazardly clear it down and get punished, but Wallaby punishes by acting first, gets the dash punch KO, really strong, picks up the perfect form, and the hot shot, give it over to the Juno. This isn't a completely foreign concept for General Twee. He has been known to pass up really, really strong awakenings in favor of getting, those incremental statistical advantages. So here he wants even more speed from his Spark of Agility. Now whenever he strikes the ball, he's going to be at like 9 billion speed or whatever. But this hot shot, prime time, rapid fire Juno it's going to have some things to say about the direction this game has been going.
Yeah, well, we'll find out if Doxy is going to be able to turn things back into the Rose Petals' favor with those new tools available. Did very easily take both barriers pretty quickly in this first point of set number 4, so let's see if they're going to be able to keep that aggression going. Doxy taking it up towards the top, looking for a big shot. Won't be able to get it on past Bertram. Twee still helping out on defense, and it is making all the differences. Bertram's been a little slow to some of these saves, but Twee has been able to bail him out each and every time. There's another attempt coming on through. Bertram going to be able to navigate it all the way on around, and now pinned up at the top is Doxy. Wallaby nearly going to be able to take her out, but will not be able to do so this time. Twisty, crooked leverage a little bit too late, doesn't catch the core, sent past Bertram, saved by Twee again. Maddening Descent does not get the core at the angle that she wants it, and it will be back into the hands of Wallaby and Twee. Twee sending it on forward. Wallaby going to be able to get it off the back of the flip, but still not finding that barrier. Twee sends it over to Wallaby yet again, going to be using the whammy to try to make the difference and get it on past. A flip comes out of Bertram, passing it up towards the top. Twisty, though, finally finds a moment with Twee and Bertram both up to the top side, pokes it into the bottom, and takes the point for Rose, breaking the score streak. I think that was 6 in a row over to the side of the Atlas Gardeners.
Yeah, I mean, Twee, I said earlier, Twee was getting, what, like 720 speed or whatever whenever they were striking. Now they're only getting 762. So they're only getting just like a slight increase of around 5% from where they were at before, whereas this Juno's gotten hotshot. And the hotshot was so strong in that first point. Oh, great save by Bertram. But the hotshot was so strong in that first point, you have to wonder if that, that marginal extra speed that General Twee got is going to be able to make the difference, as Twisty almost makes the play, but not quite able to convert. So, yeah, we're going to see how these things go for them as the sets move on.
Yeah, definitely looking like the math may not check out here for that Luna decision, is taking a KO there as well. Twisty now trying to push Wallaby off of the pitch, and will be able to open up an angle for Twisty to just poke it right on in. 2-0 now for the Rose Petals as they find their stride in set number 4.
Yeah, what's interesting about this Juno Kazan pairing is that if the Juno can reliably get the ball forward, the Kazan has absolutely free reign in the enemy net to kind of do whatever he wants, and that's why we're seeing such efficient open net scoring attempts. And they were struggling before to get this second barrier, but now with the Juno hotshot, it's just so difficult to be able to hold it down. But as I say that, General Twee, great punish and grabs the second barrier on the bottom side. So, we're going to have to see if they can convert on this power play, Gordo.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be up to. They need to be able to hang on for at least a little bit longer until Wallaby is going to be able to find the respawn. Wallaby back out here and dangerous to try to make the score happen. Twee doing a good job of taking both those barriers, but they need to be able to close it the rest of the way. They need to not give an opportunity for the Rose Petals to be able to take a third in a row. There's the Make It Rain, getting all those blobos on through. Each one is fended away from. Twee gets it back into their hands, goes in for the bounce shot. Luke's still going to be able to fend it away. There's the Expanse to send it back away yet again, and Wallaby just cannot even get involved. Going to be able to take Doxy off the bottom, but saved by the Celestial intervention. And Luke continues to keep his teammates alive for as long as they need to be. Bertram going to be able to keep that last barrier safe for just a little bit longer. The Soup coming out again to be able to fend off any aggression from Twisty, who is going to be stuck down there in that bottom corner with the Crater coming on through. So going to have to avoid out on that one. And still not able to produce a really strong offensive move here are Twee and Wallaby. It's been tough for the Atlas's Gardeners so far in this set number 4. Shoots it off the bottom corner, back to themselves, trying to take it one bit further. But Luke has the flip, and Luke saves it yet again.
Yeah, such a good play from Twisty there. That's something that wasn't really done in the past on Kazan as much, but done now is this, you do the dash, and then you pop up, and then you strike because you're still kind of coming out of the dash. You just layer so many hits in a row right on top of Bertram's face. So even though Bertram had the strike war and had the timing, he just wasn't able to be able to deal with all those hits at the same time. Second barrier goes down, and we're in the open net, which, as I said, is so favored for the Rose Petals. I wouldn't be surprised to see them take this point.
With not either. There's the ricochet off the center, and Twisty finds the shot into the goal. 3-0 for the Rose Petals, completely turning around how this game had been going for Atlas's Gardeners, and we are going to set number 5.
Yeah, this hot shot, like I said, it's such a big deal because before it was, the Luna speed was able to keep up with the Juno, kind of rapid fire prime time kind of shenanigans that she was getting up to. He was just fast enough, but now that the core is so fast, it was difficult to keep pace. But that being said, Twee has peak performance,
never punished,
fight or flight, spark of agility, strength spark, and resilience spark. So he's a little quick. He is going to be fast. Wallaby picks up the shallow kick. Bertram gets a really nice missile prop, whereas Luke gets what I would argue is a pretty weak heavy impact, and Doxy's extra special is nice, but not anything too crazy. So definitely a draft favored for Atlas Gardeners. We're just going to have to see how far this hotshot Juno can go.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot in Twee's hands here. Try to use this triple spark Luna to be able to make something happen. Loses both barriers on defense pretty quickly, going to be able to take one back on the opposite side. And yeah, definitely one of the faster characters on the map here. You can see just running laps around Twisty here in this early stage. It's all going to come down for game number 1 to this set. So no more Awakening drafts left to try to make something happen and turn around your fate. Twisty, nice little leverage into poke in. Very easy to score there when the Dubu's caught in the middle.
Yeah, the thing is, so I said earlier, 760 speed on strike before the Spark of Resilience. Now it's only 788, so about 790. So 30 more speed, which is less than 5% of an increase. And that's with the extra stagger increasing your peak performance speed scaling. So, we got essentially 60 more speed on strikes, so less than 10% in exchange for this hot shot. Even though we got what we wanted, the Spark of Resilience, it still just feels like we're not paying dividends. And, we could see that here with the set being 2-0 in the favor of the Rose Petals. I still feel like this hotshot Juno is just completely taken over the game, and I'm talking about it so much, but I think it was just that impactful because ever since they picked it up, I think they've gone 5 goals in a row.
Yeah, it's been a complete reversal of how this game was going beforehand. Atlas's Gardeners had really found their groove and were really starting to run away with it, but Rose Petals have completely restabilized. As you said, it's 5 in a row, and they're looking to make it 6 and the game here if they're able to find just one more. Twee going to need to show up with these triple sparks here. This is what the hotshot was given up for. Will they be able to do it? Twee juggling it off the back here, trying to take this core back over into an offensive side. Wallaby brawling with it as well. Make It Rain comes up on the top side, core still on the bottom, bounces off the center. Wallaby trying to find the strikes, but knocked around by more of these blobs. Caught in the middle of 3 members trying to find a dash punch, but just getting bullied here. Knocked back away by the Expanse and KO'd after finding that second barrier. But it is open and available on the goal now. Can Twee make something happen with all of this speed? Have to find out here. Twisty going into the top spin, trying to take control back for herself. Wallaby back out onto the field. Tries to pass it on up. Twee with a shot and takes it in with the boost. Breaking that quick series of wins here for the Rose Petals and giving Atlas's Gardeners a little bit more life.
Yeah, really, really great play by Twee there. And that was one of those points where the speed definitely took over. We're seeing his build paying dividends. Twee was just everywhere, and Bertram absolutely was doing a really great job in the net of holding it down. And, we kind of want to see more points like that where Twee's able to rotate up and then down and then up and then down, kind of away from this Juno as much as possible, and then leverage the speed advantage that they have to kind of just go wherever they want. Whereas the Juno is forced to play in these really strict lines and kind of corridors, especially along the walls like we're seeing right now. And when it pays off like that. But if Twee's able to enter these more dubious open spaces, I think the Juno can fall behind despite the hot shot.
Completely agree here. Oh, nice swing by Twee, but still not quite going to be able to find it onto the barrier. Wallaby goes in for the flip, though. Finds it there, opens up the goal. Twee and Wallaby still on the aggressive side. Bertram comes in with the soup.
Wallaby.
The dash punch from Wallaby takes it in, and we are going to set 5.5 in Game 1 of lower finals. Atlas's Gardeners trying to fight back.
Yeah, I want to point out that this missile prop on the Dubu was huge there for Wallaby being able to shove it through. It gave him just enough space to be able to get it past Luke, and we're in an awesome set 5.5 here. I think everyone's about as strong as they could possibly get. Great save by Bertram, and it's going to kind of come down to just how well that these teams can coordinate their offense.
Absolutely. Eyes still on Twee. Fastest on the map. Nice whammy. Intercepts the core mid-pass. Dash punch from Wallaby. Takes the second barrier. And an opportunity for Atlas's Gardeners, having just broken a massive loss streak, to steal this game back for themselves. Wallaby Gangster trying to dribble it off the bottom. General Twee falling back on defense, stopping Twisty from being able to find this second barrier. Twisty going to be able to poke it in anyway. Goal is open on both sides. Wallaby to the bottom. Passes it back up to Twee. There's the crater to knock it back up. Twisty with a shooting opportunity against Bertram. Knocked back away from the top spin. And Twee now with the boost available, stepping up forward, throws it in. Blocked by Doxy. Back off the top. Still cannot get poked in. And Bertram going to have to come out here and try to save the core with the rollout. Sends it back away. Gets it back into Luke's hands. Wallaby going to be able to disrupt in the middle of the center, trying to get it back over to General Twee. Twee takes another poke in, but it's fended away by Bertram yet again. Twee sends it back over to Wallaby. Crater keeps it on offense. There's going to be the Blobbo to try to send it back down. Gets it over to Twisty, disrupted again by Twee, who is still so fast, constantly chasing down the core. Another punch from Wallaby, can't quite find its way into the goal. Twisty trying to push forward and get an offensive angle. Wallaby's dash punch can't maintain control. Twisty passes it down to Doxy. Doxy's trying to get it in there with the Blobbo. Still cannot get past Bertram. Another send down, another block. Moved over towards midfield. General Twee trying to get it down to Wallaby. Wallaby with another dash punch. Disrupted, and Twisty sends it up to the top corner. It's a win in set 5.5 for the Rose Petals. They pull it back.
Yeah, least stressful set 5.5 point in the history there. Wow. Great play on the goal line from Doxy. I think Garden's best chance of winning it was when Twee had that flip in the bottom corner, and since they were hold it down off that, I think it was just kind of an inevitability that Twisty would eventually get the ball in the right spot. Great game from both teams. Twee with 424 redirects, an absolute menace, and just so much going on. But I do think that Hotshot Juno did take over the game, and it really was not the right choice. I'd like to talk about something actually regarding how speed kind of works in this game and why stacking speed isn't necessarily the strongest
Please do. We're
way
waiting
to
waiting on
generate
draft,
a build.
man. Go for it.
So Twee, got peak performance, fight or flight, 3 sparks with Spark of Rezeal and Spark of Agility. So all of those things are going to add up to so much speed. But we saw that every single draft, he was just incrementing his speed by like 20 or 30 at a time. And that's because even if you jump from like 10% to 15% on peak performance, or some big jump that seems like a 50% increase, it's your speed multipliers are all based on your base speed. So Luna probably has like 450 base speed, I'd guess, maybe more, but it's somewhere near 450. So that 5% increase on peak performance is taking you from like 45 increased speed to like 70 increased speed. And so you're really only getting kind of these marginal returns. And the higher up you go, 45 to 70 can be big when you're down at 450. But when you're up there near 800, an increase of 20 speed is really not that big of an increase. That percentage increase in speed, and therefore that increase, like the percentage increase of influence you have, decreases with each speed awakening you get. So I'd say the difference of like 20 to 50 speed, which was like 1 in 15, so that's like 6-7% increased speed in exchange for Juno's best awakening, probably wasn't worth it. So even though, on its face, I think Twee's build looked really awesome and he was kind of flying everywhere, I don't think he was flying that much faster than he would have been if he had just taken the hotshot, kind of accepted that his speed was going to cap out where it was.
I definitely see that. Would have been an interesting thought exercise. This is the kind of thing to debate on a draft to last when we bring that back to Nashville next season. Let's say bookmark that, K-Bot. This could be, everybody will have forgotten about this conversation in like a month. So definitely bookmark that one. See if you could bring it up later. But we are moving on over to Taiko Temple for game number 2 see that's going to be Rose's pick, and did very well on it when they played in just the series before this one that we were just watching. So find out what they're going to be able to do. It's 1-2 punch and Mungus for this game number 2.
Longest. Yeah, Gordo, I have a question for you. Could you hear my cat while I was yapping?
I heard a meow in there. I didn't really. It wasn't that loud.
Yeah, I think she's mad at me right now. She's doing the thing where she sits down and turns away from me. And that's her way of being passive aggressive and telling me that she's angry.
That's
Hi,
okay.
Cricket.
Yeah, I could hear her now. Now that you've
Yep.
pointed it out, but that's okay. Nobody. I don't think anybody minds. At least not
Here,
right now.
I've been advised.
We got some downtime. Cricket.
Love
where
you, Cricket. Look
There
at her.
she is. Hello.
Yeah, this 1-2 punch Among Us start gonna be super interesting. If the Juno's left up, then that makes it harder for Rose Petals to take triple Among Us because they really want to take the 1-2 punch on the Juno. And on Among Us start, you usually want to go triple Among Us so that your whole team gets the 15% speed. It's just so strong, and if you're taking it, the other team isn't. You're gonna feel so slow and so kept out of the game. But that being said, 1-2 punch, very similar to Hot Shot on this Juno. That core speed can be just so disruptive and so powerful, especially against the melee goalies, and especially if you've got like a strong brawler who could score well on the open net, like the Kazan. So, gonna be interesting to see how this draft plays out, and I can't help but wonder what Cricket's thoughts are on the matter.
Yeah. Well, we got a 3-person analyst desk now, so always happy to hear some inputs here. Does look like it is going to be that Kazan and that Asher ban coming on through. Haven't been away from Omega Strikers that long. Is now pick 1 coming on through here. It is going to be going over to Atlas's Gardeners. Let's see what they want to grab for themselves. And if they're going to be keeping that Kazan ban for the foreseeable future. It was definitely an impressive Kazan performance from Rose Petals previously. Now not going to have access to that pick. Let's see how much of a difference it makes.
Yeah, something I talked about with Wallaby was that he really doesn't like the Rasmus on Tycho Temple, and I think it would be a surprise if we see him pick anything other than Julia Rasmus. But I may not be, fully in the know as to what other picks he might be pulling out. But those are the two that I personally definitely expect. So not surprised to see the Julie come out first. That pick's been really strong for them. It's been really strong for, it was good for Name Chaotic last time on Tycho Temple. And it's good if you take either of these awakenings. But there's the Juno that I was talking about with this 1-2 punch start. We might see the entire side of Rose take the 1-2 punch, but then they're going to be so slow. So that's going to be difficult to reconcile with. We might see only the Juno take the 1-2 punch and just be really, really big when
Maybe.
their other two teammates take the Among Titans. We might even see the Juno off the Among Titans, which is a pretty reasonable gamble because you can assume that the 3 players in the enemy team are going to be taking Among Titans, but like the Julie might take the 1-2, so it's actually a pretty intricate draft choice to go with this Juno here, but regardless, they could high roll the hot shot again, or kind of anything can happen. I have my eyes on this pick 6 Centauro with Among Titans. Normally, I'm not a big fan of Centauro, but with the extra speed and even the decreased size, it makes his survivability a lot higher. And that's, I think, his biggest weakness as a brawler right now, is that he's liable to just kind of blow up, especially in the corner against the melee goalies or like the Juliet. So, we'll see what happens. I'm super excited to see what starting awakenings each player opts into once we get into game.
Yeah, definitely an interesting choice here when you have the Among Titans to see how many are you taking, who's taking it, and how are the benefits going to be reaped there. So we'll find out. Could be a large Juno, could be large Luna if you do want to go for that one. There's plenty of options available. So we will find out what the selection is going to be here, but it is those 2 melee goalies, like you said. So dangerous position for the Zentaro to be in, but always excited to see a Zentaro pick come on through. So find out how they'll be able to perform on that as we are getting on to Tycho Temple for game number 2, of course.
Yeah, Twisty just must like the Centauro matchup into the Dubu. I think it makes sense. Centauro, one of those other characters who excels at scoring on the open net, since he has so many mix-ups and so many ways to solve the core. We do see 5 among Titans. Doxy does opt out of the 1-2 punch. Doesn't want to end up, falling behind General Twee's kind of overwhelming desire for speed. Opts into just taking the 15% speed and calling it a day. But we do see Wallaby take the 1-2 punch, which I think is super interesting because there's a very real chance that he completely falls behind in this game. Just because he'll be so much slower than the other 5 players on the map, and he'll be hunting for these dash punch KOs that are going to be really hard to get on these characters that are so quick. So he's going to have to make good value out of the 1-2 punch if he wants to make that choice worth it.
Absolutely is. Ooh, good damage on a Twisty there, who gets herself caught up in the top side after having taken that first barrier at risk of potentially getting knocked off, but will be able to get herself out of danger before too long. Wallaby now still waiting on that level 2 as well to be able to try to really get in there and use the Flame Flurry to disrupt some of these moves, but has had trouble touching the core, so going to be a little bit behind the likes of Twisty, finally catching up to that level 2 now, and will immediately take a barrier after that. Nice res comes through from Luke to be able to save Doxy, but is it too little too late? Yes, it is. Wallaby Gangsta with a big Flame Flurry pushes it through for the first goal.
Wow, that was really, really quick thinking from Wallaby. So Doxy actually tried to strike it out of the Flame Flurry, but it gets caught just on the edge, which would normally send it kind of up into the left into that drum there. But Wallaby recognized that and struck it perfectly around Doxy to get the goal. Really good play, and obviously the core going so fast because of that 1-2 punch. So, great start, getting a little bit of that value I was talking about that, hopefully they can keep that up for the rest of the game.
Absolutely. Well, first barrier does end up falling. Twisty caught down on the bottom side, never going to be able to touch the core there and going to get KO'd for it. Wallaby catches out the Zentaro and takes that KO for himself.
Oh.
There's going to be a counter KO, though. Doxy finding a really solid Blobbo there to be able to take Luna off the map, taking advantage of that low stagger stat. So really good damage found there, and now going to be a power play for the side of Rose. What will they be able to do, though, is so far not too much. Twisty back on up there, going in with the rush, trying to create an opportunity to take that barrier. Has to use the Oni's Blade to avoid the crater, and so won't be able to accomplish too much else. A barrier falls on the opposite side as Luke is not quite able to save that one in time. Going to be Doxa sending it down to the bottom, and Wallaby Gangsta finds another barrier here, opening up the goal. Twisty doing the same on the opposite side, and it's open goals for both in overtime. Who's going to be able to find the angle? Twisty trying to set up with the slice and dice, not quite going to be able to find it, and just redirects it to the bottom corner. Rose Petals take themselves a goal.
Yeah, and that's kind of the issue with the Dubu against the core speed, just like last game. Once it hits overtime, I think this Atlas and this Juno are so much stronger than this Dubu, and if there's ever an open net in overtime, I'm going to be really, really scared for Bertram. He's going to have a difficult time dealing with the Centauro mix-ups, or even just Twisty, who as a player is great at mix-ups like you saw in that goal there. So the name of the game is going to be if Atlas Gardeners can get either a really strong position or just an outright goal within the first 60 seconds of the point to avoid overtime.
Definitely. Oh, nice double barrier found by Twisty there, just putting themselves in the perfect position. Oh, actually, it's not a double barrier. I could have sworn I heard the noise twice, but the second one will fall either way. Nicely done there by Rose Petals on offense, able to open on up the goal. Twee not going to be able to get their shot off as that flip right in front of him from Luke gets it into Twisty's hands and gets a second goal for the Rose Petals.
Yeah, nice pass by Luke, technically. Crazy bounce off the corner, sending it perfectly back out to Twisty. It's a little bit of a shame that you lose both your flips there, but nevertheless, I think, like I was saying, that position was really cooked anyways, because Luke had his second barrier up, it was open net for the Juno and the Centauro, and it was just going to be really, really difficult for Gardeners to come back anyways, so I guess the double flip is a nice little consolation for them.
Yeah, nice little shot there to be able to take that barrier as Doxy trying to get it down towards Twisty. Twee still using that boost to try to be disruptive, try to get in the way. Twisty still keeping up the aggression here, positioning herself right in front of that barrier, just hoping that the passes from Doxy will be able to find their mark. Wallaby Gangsta doing a good job in these strike wars, though. Flip forced out of Doxy to stop that Flame Flurry from keeping the aggression going. Twisty able to push things down, now has the slashing strike, and instead going to use it to just try to get into a fight with Wallaby here and see if she can pressure a KO, but In the meantime, General Twee with the flip going to be able to find that second barrier, opening up the goal for their side, and sent right on in, right past Doxy. She cannot save it in time. It's 2-2.
Well, I mean, round of applause for Twee that point. That was some beautiful offense, beautiful decision-making. Went for an angle that was just like super kind of off-kilter to take that second barrier. It was the only angle that Twee had to take it. Really great stuff, and then obviously great goal. Really nice way to kind of dig that point back for Atlas Gardeners. And, you know, we're on a 0.5, and every time I say that things are looking good or bad for one team, it seems like the team was saying it's going bad for is proving me wrong by just playing better. So we're keeping that up now for Atlas Gardeners.
Yeah, the caster curse is something you get used to. Yeah, it happens a lot. it's a level of power that you don't need to use responsibly, but that will shock you more often than not. As Twisty trying to take it down towards that second barrier, but we'll get it fended away from her. Wallaby Gangsta setting up for another potential dash punch to try to push it through. There's the Crater coming on across to clear things out from Twee. Twee trying to set themselves up, be able to get a little bit of aggression going, and so far not able to do too much. Twisty, double dash, trying to get the core back where it needs to go, but not quite able to convert it into the core, or into the barrier rather. Bertram doing a good job of holding down the defense. Double flip comes on across, but Twisty just a little bit faster on the trigger is the one who ends up getting it. Will be able to take the second barrier for that. Now trying to set up for a score. Not quite able to catch it on the rush here, but has the assistance from Doxy on the bottom, trying to reset for another opportunity, but dash punch from Wallaby Gangsta, going to be able to find that second barrier, opening things up for the side of Gardeners. Still not able to finish it on off.
Yeah, I'm always so impressed with Twisty. I think they're just such a smart player in really tight situations. My bad. As they die, and then there goes Divu. Waldy with the flip on the open net. I'd be surprised if he doesn't put it in.
Oh, another KO, and oh no, it's the Crater! It's the Crater that does it! Twee coming in with the credit.
Yeah, Doxy misses the strike clear out, and it bounces back down into the Crater, and Luke dies, and Twisty dies, and Divu dies, and everything's just exploding everywhere. Crazy ending to that set, and really well played by Atlas Gardeners. I feel like this set one is so favored for the Rose Petals just based on their composition, but they held it down defensively, and Bertram may be level 4, but he is a mighty level 4. True. As Doxy gets the rapid fire, which they had and used to great effect last game. Twee gets the stacks and stacks, building that speed already. But Atlas with the twin drive and Centauro with the prime time. I think I would have liked to see Centauro take the stagger swagger, but Twisty, I think, feels that they're just not quite having enough primaries probably in these open nets to mix up Bertram as much as they'd like. They take a great double barrier with that primary from their prime time. So, yeah, I think they're going to be looking for a little bit, like a few more mix-ups, if they can find them in the open net to try and get the goal.
Absolutely here. Wallaby taking things up towards the top here, going to be able to guide it on through. Twee really doing a good job of landing these mid-boost strikes to be able to keep the core exactly where Atlas's Gardeners want it. But as I say that, Twisty finally able to connect one of these big rush plays and does come up with the goal for her side.
Yeah, Bertram was kind of put in the mind melter there. He knew he couldn't clear down, but then didn't quite have an angle to clear up, and because he couldn't find the right choice in time, the ball just kind of slides right through him. But it was a really, really difficult situation anyways, and great KO from Twisty to generate a power play. We're going to need some heroics from Wallaby to keep things going. But yeah, I just think, great play by Twisty in the open net there.
Yeah, really good stuff, and going to need to keep that going as you find yourself down a set here in a very important match. You really want to be able to get yourself into those grand finals, and this is your last chance to do so. Twisty going to take the fight further up against Wallaby, but Wallaby able to go elusive and keep themselves safe. Another Oni's Blade has to be blown from Twisty to get outside of the Crater. Return fire back over to Wallaby when the opportunity does arise. Nice strike war there from Twee to keep things in on towards that barrier. But Luke able to continue to fend it on away. And there's the drum coming up with a KO there. I think Twisty will end up with the credit on that one. And she and Doxy with a shot to be able to get onto this barrier and really be able to take a lead in the set, but still not able to do it here. going to be able to buy enough time for the respawn are Atlas's Gardeners, and not too worse for wear for it. Bertram finally going to have to use that core flip to be able to get on out of danger, and Twisty going to be able to find a corner of her own to be able to take the second barrier and be able to open on up the goal. Now a chance to be able to score. Doxy with access to the flip as well. Going to be cleared back out by Luke yet again. Twisty waiting for it, and the rush is perfectly positioned. Twee does not get their hands on it, and Twisty pushes it through.
I mean, that's basically a replica of the last goal of send it to Bertram in that tight corner up the top and dash under to catch that cross player. And, you know, Bertram not quite able to find the answer to that twice in a row now. Probably going to be able to adapt to it. I'd be surprised to see it happen to him a third time, but paying a lot of dividends in this particular set for the Rose Petals as they head into a pivotal next draft, especially with hotshots still available.
Yeah, knocked away by Luke. Doxy waiting up on the top side, and there is going to be that Blobo to be able to take another core, or another barrier, rather. Just interchangeable Omega Strikers terms, as Doxy going to be knocking on away. Wallaby sent back in towards the goal, nearly gets a punch in to sneak in a goal, but Wallaby will not have it in time. Really good patience there from Doxy, holding on to the flip, not activating it too quickly. Will come up with a KO and with a power play for it. A chance to be able to score. Sent back up by Luke. Doxy waiting for it. Wallaby already respawned though, and Twisty not able to get involved and actually KO'd by the soup there. Bertram with a really nicely placed Tofu Fortress, finding a KO and creating a scoring opportunity for Atlas's Gardeners.
So Twisty got pushed into the center drum by the soup, and then was accelerated so quickly off the drum downwards towards the wall to be pushed into the soup for a second time and died.
That sounds right.
Yeah, love me some Taiko Temple.
It's a good map. There's a reason, and hey, you know, you can't be, this is the choice of the Rose Petals. You can't be mad as a Rose Petals player if the drums betray you like that.
No, they chose this. They chose it last game too, or last series at least.
Yeah, they won on it there. See if they'll be able to turn things around this time.
Yeah, the drums giveth and the drums taketh. I'll say that much.
Absolutely. Well, so far, not a bad set for the Rose Petals, even though they do end up giving up that point. They are still one goal away from being able to take the lead. Oh, Twisty trying for a cute little mix-up there as she dashes on through with the slice and dice going, but doesn't quite catch it at the right angle, and there's going to be a KO found. So now power play here for Atlas's Gardeners as they look to take this to 0.5 and pull this set back into their favor. This time the KO comes through, though. It's on the other side. Twee can't convert and find the point, so now it's a power play here for the Rose Petals. Will they be able to find the goal, though? They can't even find the barrier. Wallaby's already back out and onto the field, and Twisty trying to push for more, but Twee and Bertram, so many resources available with all of the flips they could need. Luke can't save it. It bounces back and forth, and it will go on into the goal. We're going to 0.5.
Yeah, a little bit of a drift there for General Twee. I mean, that was an awesome play. He's been going for that a lot today. You know, we've seen him. He did it last game as well in Atlab, where he shoots it into the corner where no one is, and then he plays Luna and is able to convert off of it. And Luke just, you know, like a frame too slow on saving Doxy there, and that's 2 Doxy KOs in a row now that have been absolutely pivotal for the side of Atlas Gardeners.
Yeah, they lose a barrier for it, but Doxy now back and available, only down the energy that she lost in going down, as Luke not going to be able to hold on to this barrier, though, and Twee already in position to try to take the point. Not going to be able to get it. They get it onto the correct side of the crater, so they are able to save the point for now, but they've got to turn this one back around. Twisty coming up with the KO as Rose Petals, they do not want to let this set go. They were up 2-0, and if they lose out on the point here, they're going to have let this one slip by, and they are going to be down 0-2 in game number 2, and it's going to look like a game 3 is nearly an inevitability. Can they hold on? The Luke misses 2 in a row, the strike shot and the astral projection.
Yeah, not the greatest defensive hold from Luke there. Great call out for General Twee. Knew that Luke would lose his mind. But Twee now rewarded with presumably the spider flight. You know how much he loves his core speed. But giving over, probably the best awakening for Zentaro, perfect form. Really, really, really big deal. Timeless Crater on the Dubu feels nice. Heavy Impact on the Julie also feels really nice. I'd love to see a Glass Cannon, yep, on the Juno, and the Missile Prop for the Atlas. I think that if you are the Rose Petals, that draft went just about as perfectly as it could have gone for you. Because like we said, I think this Fighter Plate's not actually too much more speed for Twee relative to how much speed he already had. And sure, he's going to be running around really fast, but the other players on the side of Rose Petals just got some really, really strong awakenings.
Yeah, and a clean start there from Twisty. Able to just maintain control of the core the whole way through, takes both barriers, guides it the whole way through, but that's another Juno KO. And that recipe has been so successful for Atlas's Gardeners. Oh no! We've lost track of the core.
Yeah, remember when Name Chaotic special bounced the ball perfectly back into his own net? That was pretty much the same bounce. That was the corner drum bounce perfectly into the opposite corner, and Luke finds it, and Bertram just barely out of position, and Rose Petals rewarded with the goal.
And you know, the drums give it and the drums take it away. The drums give it again there. And the core, in an unexpected angle, comes up for the Rose Petals, and they need a little morale boost here. That was a tough set to lose in set number 2, especially in the way that they lost it. So see if they're going to be able to re-steal themselves here as the Soup just locking the core up on this top side. Twisty can't get it past no matter how hard she tries, and Wallaby and Twee in a good position now to be able to try to reset their offense. Doxy passing it on down, though. Twisty trying to get in position to get at the goal, but it's not being able to maintain core control. KO found again for Wallaby. Wallaby has got this Juno's number and will not let her stay standing. Twisty just really trying to hold things on alongside Luke here, but the defensive Zentaro not exactly the force that you're hoping for here as they set up once again, get themselves another barrier. Twisty now with a shot on the goal, or at least a chance to do it here. The Soup pushing them forward. The slice and dice gets it past Bertram, and it's a 2-0 lead for the Rose Petals in set number 3.
Yeah, the drums are give-a-thing today, Gordo. The drums are give-a-thing. That was another just crazy sequence, but Twisty manages to slide it past the Dubu log. But yeah, what I was saying,
another double for Twisty!
Yeah, great play for Twisty. Gordo, you just take over.
I mean, we'll see if they're going to be able to hang on to it here. Twisty certainly not letting anything slide by. So Luke passes it on up. Twisty nearly gets it through. Doxy waiting for it, but it will move back on over. And I think they've calmed down now for at least a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I'm trying to do some analysis. I was going to talk about how Wallaby right there, getting the value out of 1-2 punch that I said that they need to be getting this game if they want to win, because they are still slower than everyone else on the map, but I guess Twee is faster than everyone else on the map and is able to convert that into a goal. But if Wallaby keeps finding these KOs, then this 1-2 punch is absolutely going to be worth it. But we'll see if Rose Petals can close out a set like they were unfortunately not able to last set.
Yeah, I mean, shades of set number 2 here. Definitely don't want to lose one like this, but, you know, some specific events occurring in that last one, we can say. Twisty, though, going to have a hard time replicating what she was able to do to start off that previous set. But if Doxy's able to stay alive, I think that's definitely going to be your first step here. Wallaby continuing to try to force on this bottom, gets the second barrier. Nicely done by Wallaby, just all-out aggression paying off dividends here as they do find themselves the double barrier, the open goal, and a shot to take this set to point number 5. Twisty trying to get the punish, trying to get Wallaby outside of the play, trying to find the KO, and they just can't do it. At some point, they're just going to have to let him go. Finally, they get the KO, but now Twee is waiting for you. Twee right outside your doors, knocking on the walls, trying to get into that goal, but Twisty will be able to hang on for now as they try to move into some aggressive stances on the Rose Petals side.
Yeah, I didn't realize Twee was so scary, but yeah, I guess Twee has my address and is inside my walls. You know, that being said, they're so fast, I guess it's not a surprise that they're everywhere. They're probably in your walls too, Gordo.
I can hear it.
You can hear them knocking on your walls. They're knocking on your door, and Twisty knocking on Bertram's door, able to take the first barrier and trying to convert it to a second one. Great res by Luke to save Doxy's life and preserve the core flip. Really, really important to keep that alive. You want to close out this set. You don't want to be losing so much energy for free, but Twee is just so fast. He is everywhere right now, and he's trying to close in on Luke.
Yeah, oh, nice flip there from Luke, going to nullify that special from Wallaby. But they're not out of the woods yet. The aggression's still coming, and Twee is in position to close out the point, 2-2. And it's exactly like set number 2 here. Just a couple of plays going a little bit differently. And Rose Petals could have won 2 sets here, but in fact, they may very well end up just losing game number 2.
Yeah, I don't know. Twee just came crawling out of the attic there to take the strike forward with Doxy after taking the strike forward with her in a completely different spot of the map. Because he's just flying around so fast. You know, this is the General Twee special. He's going to take so much speed to try and just outmaneuver you and use his experience and kind of his intuition for where the ball is going to end up. And, you know, we're seeing them try and fail to try and succeed to kill Wallaby Gangster. They're finally able to do it, but Twee with flip and with speed is just kind of running everywhere and keeping up so much control of the ball.
Doxy moving it over here, not going to be able to stop the flip from Twee. Sends it back over to Luke, who is able to hold up on the defense, and this time it's another KO, this time on Twisty, and they just can't keep everybody standing. They need Doxy and Twisty to both be alive for one of these plays, and it's just never happening. Wallaby and Twee are all over him. And Twee moving back on over, trying to get the offense going again. Knocked back away by the Expanse. Twisty trying to find an angle to play some degree of offense, but it's Twee and Wallaby just keeping it going over and over again. The Blobbo going to send it back on over to the left. Here's going to be another crater caught by the Oni's blade, sent back in towards the barriers, but Wallaby gets it past Doxy again. Doxy with a nice pass up here, and it's Twisty and Bertram one-on-one, but Bertram manages to clear it out yet again.
Yeah, I want to point out that Twee actually is faster than he was last game. And he had 3 sparks with agility and peak performance. That just goes to show how significant among Titans, and Stacks in particular, are at generating speed. The fact that he only has, you know, those 2 to give him the passive speed and then the same fight or flight that he had last game, to even be faster than he was last game kind of speaks to that scaling. But as I say that, Twisty makes a miracle play in the corner against the Dulu, almost kills him and gets the goal. And we're on to another set. If Luke can pick up the hot shot, if the Juno can't, or if he can get like nothing good for him here, first pick, then I guess that's cool. But he's probably going to deny the peak performance from the Luna, who has just been absolutely flying all over the map.
Or he takes nothing.
Or he takes nothing, which is also an option. Luna opting out of the speed. Maybe he was listening to the broadcast.
He got it. It happened.
Yep. He did end up taking it. Juno gets the Spark of Strength, which is a big deal. She's going to be red coring now pretty much on every primary when she's fully stacked on her glass cannon. Twisty with a Dash Awakening. Really nice stab. And Wallaby Gangsta picks up a little bit of size and a little bit of power. Not the greatest. But I do think that unless Twee actually does get some really high value ults, his build isn't really supporting this extra special take as much as I might otherwise like it to. So a really good draft, I think, for Rose, and the comeback could be mounting, Bordeaux.
Yeah, very well could be. Let's see what they're going to be able to make happen with it. The Dash Awakening on this Centauro, perhaps one of the most impactful things he can get here. Already starting to see those combos come on through. Twisty is able to create a barrier take. We'll see if she's going to be able to keep that going, though. It's going to need to be more miracles from Twisty if we're going to see the full comeback from Rose Petals in this game at number 2. Otherwise, we are destined for a game number 3 here. Another attempted setup from Twisty, not going to be quite manifesting there. Nice expanse from Luke, blocks away the Flame Flurry and prevents that barrier from falling on down. Now Luke coming on up for the assist. Good damage coming on across. Wallaby is able to find another KO, but Twisty just flips in the middle of nowhere. Oh no! Combo doesn't quite make itself come together, and now the Atlas's Gardeners, they have a chance to be able to move on up. There's going to be the block away from Twisty, sent back up from Luke. Twisty taking it towards the goal, but blocked back away from Bertram. Wallaby Gangsta now with a chance to set up an offense of their own, goes in for their own flip, fended away by Doxy and Luke yet again. And General Tweed just getting back in there, not willing to let Luke breathe, keeping the aggression up, taking the barrier, and now looking to close it on out with a goal. Dribbled off the bottom by Wallaby, sent back away by the drum. Twisty taking it outside of the crater. Doxy coming in for the assist, and Doxy claims the goal. The Blabo sends it right into the goal.
Wow, I mean, that was a perfect angle from Doxy to keep it out of the duo hitbox. Jibu thought he could strike it, but couldn't. That's why he didn't flip, and really, really great play, and that's that overtime Juno, Atlas, Centauro shenanigans that we're talking about. It's just so hard for Stubu to defend on the open net. Even if he has the resources to, he might just be, tricked into believing he doesn't need to use them. So I think what was otherwise kind of a disaster point for Twisty salvaged for the Rose Petals.
Yeah, really good stuff here, and that Castellast on the soup, I mean, it's making some of these situations real tough, but Luke is holding strong through it, managing to fend it off for so long, and somehow the Juno dies every time. It's such a good target selection here from Wallaby, constantly finding ways to get this player off the map and create power plays. If Doxy can't compete, it's really difficult for them to set up much of anything, and Alice's Gardeners are well aware of this fact. Wallaby Gangsta constantly finding these KOs, and it's making a huge difference.
Yeah, I think if you're Rose Petals, you really, really, really want Doxy to be first pick in this draft because we know Hotshot is there and it's coming. So we're going to want to see more goals out of Doxy. Thankfully she got that first goal there. And General Tweed picks up an awesome goal down the middle. Great strike to maintain that course speed. Sneaky past Luke. But yeah, we're going to want to see Doxy. She needs to be living a little more so that she can stay on the map to get that XP, get that first pick, and get that Hotshot for set 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly true, but you got to get to set 5 too, so I think they'll take any goal they can get. Double barriers come on across here very quick in the side of Atlas's Gardeners, and a real shot here to be able to get themselves on towards game point. KO found there onto Twisty. Doxy now trying to hold things down on her own. Not her going down for once, but Twisty not being there either is pretty much just as difficult to deal with. Doxy able to escape from Wallaby this time. Luke gets it up, down over to Doxy, over to Twisty. Twisty trying to set up for another big dash play. Not there, and Twee, again, in a great position, gets it somewhere where Luke can't reach it with the core strike.
Yep, that is Twee's special. I mean, he has just been absolutely farming everyone with that, or I guess gardening them. I don't know. He's been doing really, really well with that particular setup. It's so difficult to deal with as a goalie, especially if you just don't have the size or means to otherwise take up the entire net.
Nice.
But as I say all that, double barrier comes through for Rose Petals, exactly what they want to be seeing right now. And, if we don't get any more heroics from Twee like that, we might see the Rose Petals be making a comeback.
Yeah, really good stuff here. Twisty trying to make the play happen. The flip from Bertram will be able to save it here. Flame Flurry pushing past Luke, taking one barrier, but now Twee following up yet again. It's going to be the flip from Luke, trying to get it over to Twisty, but Twee is there, disrupting the play yet again, preventing them from being able to actually get onto offense. It's Wallaby punching back away Twisty yet again. Twee coming in from the top side, takes that second barrier. Luke with his work cut out for him, trying to get it away. Doxia uses that extra Blabo and will be able to set up for a KO onto Twisty. Twisty, if he can take this, if she can push it forward, would be able to move it into the goal. Not quite going to be enough, and Wallaby finds another KO. It's a 2-on-2 on the map. Twee is respawning right now, and they can't convert it onto the goal. Twisty trying to fall back on defense, trying to create themselves the chance. Twisty saves it, but not for long enough. Wallaby Gangsta finds the shot to the bottom corner, and we're going to game number 3 in the lower finals.
There's an ancient saying that describes what just happened.
Is there?
It's been preached for generations. Yes, it's called ABAB, which is what Twisty just did off of the drum there. Great play from Luke with an amazing strike shot to save it off of Twee's secondary. A really great game. Twee with 434 redirects and 8 goals, and also 40k damage and 160 shots. Completely padded the stat sheet. I would argue a 1v9 performance there for General T. Really, really impressive stuff. Speed build maybe pays a little bit more dividends when you're able to start an extra 15%. And now we're headed to Night Market. And the main thing that I'm going to be looking for on this map is if Doxy can stay alive, because this map is super claustrophobic. And those KOs that lead into the wall, we saw them a lot that game. Wallaby with 11. Super duper common and super scary on night market. They'll take Wallaby will be taking the speed gate and going, for those KOs. But, that being said, Rose Petals do have first pick if they want to opt into the Twisty Juliet. I personally think that would be a pretty smart first pick for them. But yeah, just great game for specifically General Twee there. Such an impressive performance, and we're headed into a well-deserved game 3.
Absolutely here. Great fight back from Atlas's Gardeners in that game number 2. Really, really close in multiple sets there, but pulling out and clutching it out both times and coming up with the win. Now going to be one final draft here. Does look like it's going to be a perfect form in aerials. So got the Dash Awakening right from the start. Got some opportunities to potentially change up the picks, and it's the Luna ban out of the Rose Petals.
Yeah, that makes sense. They've dealt with it for 2 games, but that scoring on the open net with that secondary is so scary. I wouldn't be surprised if Rose first picks the Juno here. Nope, they decide to opt into the Atlas. Don't want to give it to Bertram, even though I think Bertram would probably rather opt into the Dubu anyways. But now Gardeners get to take the Juno, and I feel like it's a missed opportunity for Rose Petals. They get the Asher Juno, such a strong combo. We've seen Rose banning Asher all day. They clearly don't want to play against it, and here they are staring it down, and they could have stolen Twee's secondary pick. If he doesn't get the Luna, he almost always plays the Juno. They could have taken that, but instead they opt into the Atlas. They do get the perfect form Zentaro, really, really nice. But it's a Kai pick for Doxy, unless Doxy's on the Atlas, which would be insane. But it's a
Yeah.
Kai pick for Doxy to counter this Juno, so it seems like they were opting into, we know he's going to pick the Juno, we're going to let him have it, and we're going to take the counter pick with it because we don't think we have a counter pick prepared for the Luna. And now on pick 6, be really surprised to see anything else but the Dubu. But we could maybe see a Mako with this Dash Awakening start, but we saw how that went earlier for him on Inkies, and yes, he does just opt back into his patented Boo pick. I do think it's a pretty decent draft edge for Gardeners. They're on super comfort with the Dubu. They're on comfort with the Juno for Tweez. We're doing really well with that pick, even though he's looked amazing on the Luna. He's also looked amazing on the Juno. And this Asher, clearly a sore spot for Rose. And now, in an elimination game, they're staring down that pick.
Yeah, I mean, loser here goes out in third. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And Rose Petals deciding here that Luke Atlas above everything, right? They have the chance to take this Asher, take this Juno, whichever one they may prefer. They've been banning Asher all tournament long, and like you said, they think that the Atlas on Luke is more valuable than any of it. So choosing to let that Asher through and instead ban away the Luna, I think makes sense given how these first 2 games have gone. But yeah, I mean, Luke's been fantastic on this Atlas, and they really want to triple down on that here and make sure that he's going to get to play that pick again. And they think that the absence of Juno is going to be, or not Juno, of Luna is going to be enough to be able to make the difference.
Yeah, and we just loaded into Tycho Temple, Gordo, so really exciting that they're going with the run back. They didn't have enough of the drums. No, just a little mistake. Everybody gets their one. Twisty probably just, excited and super focused on the game.
Yeah.
Not quite ready to switch setting around. As someone who's had to switch setting around a lot in my time, I make that mistake so often.
Oh, I would. Yeah,
Um,
I would too. I don't, I never find myself in Omega Strikers custom lobbies, but if that was up to me, I would mess it up every time. So I refuse to play. I refuse to judge anybody for their mistakes.
yeah. So now we're headed on to Night Market. Luke is piloting his Atlas. I think Luke probably, the reason for the Atlas first pick is probably just that Luke doesn't feel comfortable playing anything else right now. And just wanted to make sure that he got it. That I think is the main thing that kind of rationalizes that pick for me. That or they didn't want to go with the Junos and Taro, even though that historically has been a really strong pairing. But Kai's and Taro are also really strong. I do think that if Rose Petals are going to win this game, it's going to be off the back of a really strong performance from Doxy. This Kai is the type of pick you make when you say, give me the Kai, I'll take over the game. It barely survives there, but we're going to need to see kind of a masterclass in the midfield from Doxy against this really, really impressive performance today out of General Twee.
Absolutely. Now, going to be some early aggression coming on through here from the side of Atlas's Gardeners. They get themselves that first barrier, but will be traded evenly. Doxy trying to guide it on towards the bottom, and Twisty KO'd by Bertram. The rollout right on that bottom edge gives Bertram the edge. Will come on up with that KO. Does lose the barrier for it, but that power play going to be very valuable for Atlas's Gardeners.
Yeah, I think Twisty made a deal with the devil or something, sacrificed their life for General Twee accidentally dribbling off the middle. And they do get the second barrier kind of, saved a little bit, but good offense from Twee and Wallaby in return. Find the second barrier on the other side, and the ball sneaks in with a great strike from Twisty off the top. Bertram whiffs the strike shot a bit, and the ball goes into the net.
Really nicely done there. A 1-0 lead coming on through for Rose Petals, and see if they're going to be able to keep that momentum going as Doxy fends it back away. And another real aggressive move there from Wallaby Gangsta. Great. Wow, that 11-second point. There it goes.
Yeah. Sometimes that's just the way it goes. So you fall apart, you say, wow, that was a disaster. Go next.
Yeah, I suppose so. Here they come again, and trying to avoid a similar result as they've tied things back on up here. And it does look like the Rose Petals will be able to hold on for more than 11 seconds this time around. Wallaby Gangsta, though, showing why this Asher has been so highly prized and why it's been banned so frequently by the Rose Petals there, is it just has these explosive offensive starts that just completely close out the point. And another opportunity to have one of those goals come through here as they take both barriers very early, and Wallaby still hanging on despite being staggered.
Yeah, I think Twisty's is just kind of waiting for the special to come back up. They're keeping Wallaby staggered, but they're not quite finishing the job. But the nice part about that is Wallaby can't move into the midfield. It's just too dangerous. And oh, Luke, scary save on the goal line, but waits a little too long. And General Twee just shoves it right through his face as Wallaby goes down.
Definitely. And another clean score coming on through from Atlas's Gardeners, looking like they want to take an early set win here, and they've been scoring points very quickly, especially with how slow most of the scoring has been in pretty much all the games today. Really looking explosive here as they do lose both barriers very quickly this time around. Let's see if they're going to be able to change it back. Oh, but the core just sliding by unabated for a while there will end up just barely nicking the corner and taking a second barrier down. So open goals for both sides. What can Wallaby Gangsta do? Gets the shot off through the astral projection, but not quite enough on its own. Doxy, though, just getting bullied by this Asher in melee range, and Wallaby waiting for their own dash punch to come back on up. General Twee going to be able to receive it down to the bottom, goes through with the Blaubill bounce once again, and Wallaby dashing forward, pushing Luke deeper inside the net, but not going to be able to stop that goal, or not going to be able to get that core in there. Bertram mistimes the rollout, or the summer assault, and just whiffs it.
Oh no, Dubu. It's okay, close your eyes. Nothing happened, and that's another one of those where you say, go next. Bertram thought the ball was going to kind of sneak around the front end of that center wall and head toward the bottom side, but nope, it just kind of sneaks up into the top corner. I know Wallaby earlier today hit a goal the same way, I believe. I think it was Wallaby, where it was that same bounce into the top corner. And, as I say that, Wallaby making great plays in front of the second barrier here, and we'll see what they can do to try and finish out this point.
No pass up from Bertram. Twee trying to help on out and get that pushed just a little bit further. Not going to be able to get it on towards that second barrier, as there's going to be a nice KO found by Twisty, clearing out space and a power play for the Rose Petals to try to be able to take this point back in their favor. Doxy not quite going to be able to land that barrage, but still a little bit of extra time until Wallaby Gangsta going to be back up onto the field. Twisty coming on down. There's going to be the flip coming out of Doxy, but Still not going to be able to get it past Wallaby Gangsta as that path splitter really does clear the way for the core. Twisty takes a boatload of damage there in the corner and just has to bail. Can't even stay up in Bertram's face and kind of has to just give up on any attempt at taking that barrier. As a result, Twisty completely forced out there, and now Bertram going to be able to use the flip to clear things back on out. General Twee advancing forward for a little bit extra through the speed gate, but nobody there to receive. Wallaby waiting here on the left and just nobody able to get the core over to him until just now. General Twee finally pushes it through. There's going to be the soup to help clear a little bit of the way. Twee trying to retrieve it and get it over to Wallaby, who does have the flip. There it goes, and Luke able to block it back away with an expanse.
Great timing from Twisty there on the strike. Able to get it through the Dubu secondary. Save Dubu, and great mix-up. Bertram gave Twisty a lot of respect. Thought that Twisty would, primary down and flick it into the top corner, because if Bertram starts wandering down, that's exactly what she would have done. But nope, just sends the primary through, and those are the kind of mix-ups that, we've been talking about all day that Dubu will fall prey to in the open net. Really, really scary situation, and rewarded with a goal. I think if you're, Atlas Gardeners, you're feeling pretty bad about how the first 2 points that you lost that set were kind of your own mistakes, and now you lose the entire set off of it. But Centauro doesn't get anything too crazy, just a lot of size denied from the Asher. Missile prop picked up for the Atlas, and overall I think a pretty neutral draft, arguably even favored for Atlas Gardeners. But that's a big set win for Rose Petals. They have a lot of momentum.
Absolutely here. Let's see if the Rose Petals are going to be able to keep that momentum going here. Really proving that the Luna was the problem so far. As what a great start from Twisty here. Doxy helps out with the Giga Blast, and it's a 14-second point over to the Rose Petals. Revenge for game or series or set number 1. I'm just going to keep saying words until eventually one of them's right. And a big point there for the Rose Petals, keeping that win streak alive.
Yeah, Gordo, I also love saying words until I get one right. Sometimes it's a difficult task, I'll be honest, so I commend you for your effort. That being said, Bertram a little greedy with his strike on the goal line there. Wanted to strike it out as quickly as possible, but very, very slightly mistimes it. Ends his own evade and goes down because of it. The ball goes in. Still, I think we're seeing it's just so much more stable this game, without having to deal with this 9 billion speed Luna. And the Juno did pick up a speed awakening, but it's glass cannon, which the Centauro's frequently getting rid of. And yep, there's the KO for Twisty. There's that damage pressure, and if Doxy's got some abilities, they might be able to convert in the corner here.
Yeah, used the barrage. Nice flip there out of Twee. Clears it back out. Gets the double barrier. Twee clutching up again to try to pull their team back on into this one. KO found. This time it's onto the Atlas. That's an open goal. Doxy gonna have to sub in his goalie here. Just barely gets over to it in time after missing the barrage, but can't hold on any longer. Twee with the score.
Yeah, sometimes the spirit of the drums come back, and you get a crazy night market bounce off the middle. No drums required. And then Twee, after getting that incredible flip, takes out Luke in the back of his net, and just a complete carry job out of Twee on that point there, as Wallaby finally finds one of these KOs that he's been looking for all game. And if he can keep those up throughout the rest of the game, we're going to see the Rose Petals really start to collapse in a way that they haven't quite had to deal with so far.
Definitely a nice flip comes through there from Doxy, but can't be converted onto. The path splitter still just doing its job, clearing away and preventing that strike from coming on through. And it is another KO found, this time by Bertram, getting that Kai off the map and opening up for Wallaby and Twee to get something going, although the core drifting away from him a little bit there. So Twisty gets an angle on the breakaway to be able to buy time for Doxy to be able to get back onto the map. Twisty advancing forward, looking for the shots. Can't get him on towards that barrier, but still hanging on further and further. Another nice score there, or another nice barrier there from Twisty. Pushing Twee further, goes in for the flip, and takes Twee off the map. It's a power play for the Rose Petals. Doxy sends it up, Twisty waiting for it, cleared away by Wallaby, and that might be all the time they need. The respawn's here for Twee.
Yeah, that's one of those things. I'm a big proponent of not using flip on an open net situation to get a KO.
Whoa.
As Twisty, crazy combo to send it through the Dubu, but that was a great example of why I think it's not always worth it, or maybe not ever worth it, to use flip on the open net, because you're banking that you're going to score in the next 13 seconds, as compared to just holding your flip for a really, really strong flipping opportunity later. And, we saw there the play kind of fell apart, and they weren't able to convert, and Twee was able to come back, and it's only after, with a really good play from Twisty, that they were able to score.
Definitely. Doxy dueling with Wallaby here. Twee waiting on the opposite side. Twisty stepping up forward. There's going to be some dribbling up and down, but still not able to get it on past. Bertram not going to be able to save that bottom barrier. Sticking to the top as their actual defensible one. It's going to be Twisty finding their way here. Nice flip, nice double hit stun, nice slashing strike. Finds everything, finds it all. Twisty takes the set win for the Rose Petals.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking at the Centauro pick, you're kind of regretting banning the Kazan on a perfect form start. The Centauro is such a problem, gets rewarded with the stacks and stacks, doesn't even want the Super Surge, just wants to have as much maneuverability as possible, not gated by their cooldowns. But that being said, General Twee going to pick up either the Fight or Flight or the 1-2 punch here, opposite of the 1-2 punch, and more size denied from the Asher. So we're kind of getting like a glimpse behind the curtain for why the Rose Petals have such a problem with this Asher. They think that she scales so incredibly oppressively with size that they double denied size last draft. They took Might of the Colossus on the Kai this draft. Things that aren't typically the strongest awakenings for these characters, just to make sure it's not falling in the hands of this Asher. As Twisty, with that perfect form, gets another great play and another double barrier.
Twisty playing so well on this Centauro here in this game number 3. Looking like she wants a shot at the grand finals. And for a team that started in the lower bracket, I mean, what a run the Rose Petals have had over the course of this tournament, right? Not dropping a game in the lower bracket up until this series. And looking justified in that stat, as even dropping the game, they looked competitive and now are just coming back explosively, looking like they're going to try to win the series. They do give up a point here, though. Their win streak has been stopped.
Yeah, and maybe that Fight or Flight on the Asher is becoming a bit of a problem. I don't know if that 12.5% size was really going to be the biggest deal in the world compared to how much extra maneuverability this Asher has now. But Twisty, great play and call out, and they still have the perfect form Centauro. They still have these really strong awakenings. And if Wallaby Gangsta can't find the KOs that he really is looking for, like the one right there, then Twisty's just going to put it in the back of the net inevitably.
Twisty's just feeling herself here. I mean, just goes in for the flip, hit stuns 2, sends it right up, knows it's going to connect. Really, really clean plays from her over these last couple of sets. And I mean, I need to see Atlas's Gardeners have an answer for this, as she's kind of just running away with it.
Yeah, maybe Rose Petals don't need to be as scared of this Asher as they once thought. I mean, it has had some good plays, like the hit stun to get that goal there was really good, and it's gotten a couple KOs, but I feel like a Juliet maybe even would be better served with the way that this game has been going. But yeah, it really is just the Twisty show. I think she's playing so well. It's kind of completely taken over the game, which is what you would expect when you're giving, such a creative and fast-thinking player such a strong pick on this start. So, happy to see that for the Rose Petals. They're making a strong push, and if Atlas Gardeners can't find a way to deal with this Centauro sometime soon, I think it's all going to fall apart for them.
Yeah. Gonna be qualifier season soon. Looking to make a showing here is everybody, and really impressive performance here from both of these squads throughout the tournament, but Twisty really showing up when it matters here towards the end. Very impressive stuff, very good trades. Now coming on through, looking to take another point here. Good block away from Bertram to be able to hang on, to be able to prevent anything from getting on past, but not getting themselves back on offense, at least not too effectively here yet. Twee not really looking like they looked in the previous game, like they were constantly able to be on top of the core and be feeding things over to Wallaby as necessary. And the KOs from Wallaby have slowed down quite a bit as well since moving over to this Asher.
Yeah, I think there's a couple big things going on here, but one of them is that this Kai is just so fast innately, like built into his kid, and we know General Twee is almost always playing for this kind of speed win condition of outspeeding the enemy midfielder, so the fact that the Kai is so innately quick means that Twee's just not quite able to outpace Doxy as much as he was able to when she was on the Juno herself. So that's one reason. Then obviously this Juno just doesn't have as much flexibility to do crazy things like Wallaby Strike right there as the Luna could for Twee, at least specifically for him as a player. So great strike from Wallaby, amazing angle, and it is a lead in this set for Atlas Gardeners. They're starting to push back a little bit.
Yeah, we got to go back to talking about the game like it isn't over. It's a really nice move there from Atlas's Gardeners as they are looking like they might be able to drag this on to a set number 4. Good performance here in set number 3 so far, and a fantastic angle, like you said, from Wallaby. Going to need to find some more of those here, but nice defense of that top barrier from Bertram, able to fend it back away. I thought for sure that one was going down, but an equally good defense from Luke on the opposite side has Doxy at his back to keep up the defense, fending things away with the barrage. Bring out down towards the bottom. Twisty going to be sending it back on up towards the top. Trying to get it on to Twisty is Luke, and Twisty taking a fair bit of damage for it, but healing it right back up thanks to the Celestial intervention. Flip comes through. Twisty can't actually get the shot off, though. Wallaby right in front of her, disrupting anything that she goes for, but the Oni's blade pushes it that last bit through. Bertram gets the flip, but not before the barrier falls, and it is an open goal now for the Rose Petals. Bertram gets it up to Twee, fended around by Luke. Doxy looking to push forward. She has access to a flip of her own as well, and she will flip it, send it forward. Bertram blocks it away and hangs onto the point for a little bit longer.
Oh, almost goes in from Twisty there, but I want to highlight that Doxy did a really, really nice combo with the Centauro to take that second barrier. So Centauro just stops the core in place instantly, as soon as you press the button. And that's a really, really strong combo, specifically with Kai, that we've seen people do before. Is Twisty, great strike war against Bertram. Has won those strike wars against the Dubu secondary a lot today. Kind of has Bertram's number, and we're on series point. But yeah, I want to highlight that Centauro special will stop the ball on a dime, and the reason Kai in particular pairs really well with that is because he can kind of run in from a distance that is a little bit unexpected, and the ball's essentially teed up for him to strike it through perfectly. And we see a great corner offense from the Rose Petals. They're getting ready to make it to grand finals just one more time. The ball needs to be put in the net as Twisty wins the strike war against Bertram, catches it in the open net. The game is over.
Rose Petals run the full lower bracket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 series wins in the lower bracket to enter grand finals and get themselves a shot at the win here in Pick Your Poison. What a run from the Rose Petals here as they close out yet another win.
Yeah, super duper impressed with how they've been playing, with this rotating roster as well. But like I was saying, we wanted to see Doxy get that really big performance in this game, match up into General Tweak. General Tweak kind of been taking over the last 2 games, and we see it here. Doxy with 221 redux, General Tweak's 209. More shots than Twee, and really, really well done from her to get it done. And Luke, great on the defense, and highlight my player of the series, definitely Twisty. So impressive in all 3 games.
Oh, yeah.
On the offense. Bertram is a great goalie. Bertram is really, really hard to score on, but there's something about the way that Twisty was able to, outmaneuver the Dubu in the goal box and just find those small little holes that Bertram was putting up. Really, really impressive stuff, and slice their way into grand finals.
Absolutely here. I mean, shout out as well to Atlas's Gardeners, closing out at 3rd, coming in as the lowest seed, as has been pointed out, able to make their run here. Really impressive stuff from them, but will be bowing out here at 3rd. Our finals will, in fact, be PP Legends taking on the Rose Petals, and that's coming up in just a few short moments. We are going to trade out casters. It is going to be K-Bot and Mystic, if I'm not mistaken, to close out the day. So thank you for joining me here, Grimella. It's been a fun couple of games, and nobody go anywhere. There's going to be a big grand finals coming up in just a few short minutes.